At last, dear viewer. At last we got an episode that wasn't merely decent, but rather excellent. I think there is little doubt that The Winds of Winter ended Season 9's short-lived reign as the best episode of Season 6. I want to take this opportunity to go into more detail about why this episode was extraordinary. One more thing before I begin, however. I will not be able to say everything there is to say about this episode and what it means for Season 7 in this video. Another one should be coming quite soon, in which I will talk about what we can expect of Season 7. I have to say, I had a great feeling about this episode right from the start. The first scene already demonstrated that the pace would be a different one. Don't get me wrong here. This was no slow episode by any means, but they did manage the episode's tempo differently. They took their time where it was due, but they picked up speed when it was required too. I really can't remember any sequence from any of the other episodes of Season 6 as well composed as the beginning of this one. And of course, there is the music. It doesn't even take many words. It's really just a handful of one-liners. It sets a tone worthy of a finale. I am not sure if I like Qyburn taking the role of Book Varys killing Pycelle. Maybe a nod at the readers, just like Arya serving Frey pie. Both scenes, in my opinion, were among the weakest in a very good episode. Why would Qyburn single out Pycelle? I get that the Maesters and the Pyromancers have always been enemies, but the wildfire would have killed him anyway. I also still don't like Qyburn taking over Varys' little birds. And would Arya literally take the time to butcher and cook so many Freys? And where did she get that face? Did she kill somebody on the road? Did she steal it from the House of Black and White after making a point of bringing the other face back? I don't know. I had to smile at the inclusion of Frey pies anyway though. The rest of the King's Landing storyline was nearly flawless. There was no doubt from the beginning that things would come to a head this time, and they built up the tension step by step, ever so carefully, ever so slightly. Cersei's determination, Tommen's unease, the tension in the Great Sept of Baelor. We are shown that Cersei, Margaery and the High Septon all have their own plans. We see Margaery's and the High Sparrow's plans, which are the same for now, but ultimately very different of course, come into effect, as Loras becomes a Sparrow. But we also get Gregor barring Tommen's way. The suspense is palpable all the way. And in the end, the story rises above mere suspense when it turns into a tragedy. There is no winner here. Cersei has lost as much as the ones that she has killed that day. Only she refuses to face the truth for now. Revenge has brought her here, and obstinacy and defiance have her carry on. She won't succumb because that would mean conceding that she has lost as much as anyone. Beside the King's Landing storyline, there was Sam's arrival in Old Town. It doesn't really make any sense that Sam managed to get to Old Town carrying Heartsbane. His father, who is not known to be patient or forgiving with his son, should have tracked him down and killed him. However, that's not so much a flaw of this episode, but rather of the storyline up to this point, and I am overall happy that Sam is alive. I also found it strange that there hasn't been a raven informing the Citadel of the old bear's death, but I guess that might happen. Maybe there even was a raven, but somehow the info never ended up in that book. Beyond that, the Citadel and Old Town looked awesome. I'd have loved to see more already. Is the Archmaester who will see Sam Archmaester Marwyn? We will have to wait a while for that answer. A quick word on Dany's new alliance. I think the exchange in Dorne was handled reasonably well. While I don't approve of Varys traveling incredibly fast, it was fun to see Olenna putting those bad pussies in their places. Certainly the best scene including sand snakes ever. The other scenes with Dany were quite good too, while not really being the core of this extra long episode. I liked Dany's decision to leave Daario behind in terms of what's good for Dany and Westeros. That said, do we really assume Daario will not get bored of Meereen sooner or later and either leave or turn into a tyrant? The second most important storyline this week was the North. It's really hard not to like Jon becoming king in the North. It takes a lot of opportunity to grasp for power away from Littlefinger, and of course it was simply a powerful, even touching scene. The big question, however, is, what is Sansa thinking? According to an interview with Sophie Turner, Sansa is not completely happy with the way Jon is handling things. I can't see her betraying Jon though, and she should by now know better than to trust Littlefinger. By the way, I am pretty sure that we are going to see more of Lyanna Mormont. I mean, why would they not use that actress more? Everybody seems to love her, and she probably doesn't make anywhere near the boatloads of money that others on the show make. Beside killing off, I would assume, more important characters than any episode before, this episode has also shattered a record number of theories. Most importantly, 2 theories that I never liked at all and one that I toyed with a decade ago or so are off the table now. R plus L equals D, RB plus L equals J, and R plus L equals J plus M. It's safe to say that R plus L equals J is true on the show. I dare you to come up with a serious alternative that has Jon as Lyanna's son and also explains the need to protect the child from Robert. And please don't tell me Aerys is his father. Along with those 3, and a couple of similar theories, the theory claiming Howland Reed to be the High Sparrow, Daario to be Euron, and Tommen to be the Valonqar killing Cersei can be laid to rest now. Debunking so many theories goes a long way of demonstrating how many important questions this episode has dealt with. Along with excellent timing and composition and overall improved writing, this episode has raised my hopes for season 7 considerably. There was no filler. It feels like the showrunners might have found their way now, after a season of getting rid of pieces they deemed superfluous and rearranging the others around the board. It felt a bit like this final episode had been planned first, were only the rocky, sometimes winding way they had to travel to get there. Here's hoping the great plan for the endgame is now finally in place and awaiting us in season 7. That wraps it up for this episode. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, share, comment, and visit the shit out of our blog.